The mahogany desk gleamed under the afternoon sun, mocking Marcus Webb with its polished perfection. He'd built empires on that desk, signed deals worth hundreds of millions, transformed struggling companies into industry titans. But today, staring at the unsigned contract before him, he felt like a fraud. 3 months of negotiations, countless revised terms, and still nothing. The Yamamoto Corporation remained unconvinced, and Marcus could feel his reputation crumbling like sand through his fingers. Marcus pressed his fingers against his temples, fighting off the headache that had become his constant companion. At 42, he'd never failed to close a deal this significant. The merger would create the largest sustainable technology partnership between the United States and Japan, revolutionizing green energy production worldwide. It wasn't just about money anymore, though the $300 million valuation certainly mattered. It was about legacy, about proving he could still compete in a world that seemed to be passing him by. His phone buzzed for the 15th time that hour. His board of directors, investors, even his ex-wife, everyone wanted answers he didn't have. Marcus silenced it and walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows of his penthouse office, gazing down at the Seattle skyline. From up here, the people looked like ants, insignificant and interchangeable. He'd spent 20 years viewing the world from this height, and it had served him well, or so he'd thought. The problem was simple yet insurmountable. Kenji Yamamoto, the 70-year-old CEO visiting from Tokyo, remained unimpressed by everything Marcus offered. Better terms, higher percentages, guaranteed positions for Japanese executives. Yesterday's dinner at the city's most exclusive restaurant had ended with Yamamoto-san politely but firmly stating that Marcus's company lacked soul, whatever that meant. "Mr. Webb?" The soft voice startled him. He turned to find Rosa Martinez standing in the doorway, her cleaning cart beside her. "I'm sorry to interrupt. Should I come back later?" Marcus waved dismissively. "No, it's fine. I'm leaving soon anyway." He watched as the 63-year-old woman began, dusting his bookshelves with the same meticulous care she'd shown for the past 5 years. Rosa came 3 times a week, always quiet, always thorough, practically invisible. He couldn't remember the last time he'd actually looked at her. "Big meeting tomorrow?" Rosa asked gently, noticing the scattered papers and half-empty coffee cups. "The biggest of my career," Marcus admitted, surprising himself with his honesty. "And I'm about to blow it completely." Rosa nodded thoughtfully, continuing her work. "My husband used to say that some problems can't be solved from the same level they were created." Marcus barely heard her, already mentally rehearsing tomorrow's presentation. One final pitch to convince Yamamoto-san before he returned to Tokyo. When the Japanese delegation arrived, Marcus noted the weariness in Yamamoto's eyes. The old man had probably already made his decision. This meeting was just a formality, a courtesy before rejection. Halfway through Marcus's presentation, an unexpected interruption occurred. Rosa appeared in the doorway looking distressed. "Mr. Webb, I'm so sorry, but there's a situation in the executive kitchen. The water line burst and it's flooding toward the server room." "Handle it," Marcus snapped, annoyed at the interruption during his crucial moment. But Yamamoto-san stood immediately. "Please, may I assist? In Japan, we believe no task is beneath anyone's dignity." Before Marcus could protest, Yamamoto followed Rosa down the hallway, and Marcus had no choice but to trail after them, his entire team in confused tow. They found the kitchen in chaos, water spreading rapidly across the floor. Without hesitation, Yamamoto removed his jacket and began helping. Rosa placed towels along the baseboards. Marcus stood frozen, watching his $100 million deal literally go down the drain while a billionaire CEO mopped floors with his cleaning lady. Then Rosa did something extraordinary. She began speaking to Yamamoto in perfect, elegant Japanese. Marcus's jaw dropped. 5 years, and he'd never known Rosa spoke Japanese. But it was more than that. Her dialect, as Yamamoto later explained, was classical Tokyo Japanese, the formal style used by old aristocratic families. As they worked together to contain the flood, Rosa and Yamamoto conversed fluently. Marcus caught fragments, something about tea ceremonies, about calligraphy, about the principles of omotenashi, Japanese hospitality. Rosa's weathered hands moved gracefully as she demonstrated a traditional way of folding the towels, something her grandmother had taught her decades ago. "Your employee understands," Yamamoto said quietly to Marcus, his eyes following Rosa's movements. "She understands that true value isn't in the transaction, but in the relationship, not in the profit, but in the partnership." Later, after the crisis was resolved, they reconvened in a smaller conference room. Marcus had abandoned his prepared presentation. Instead, he asked Rosa to join them, ignoring the shocked faces of his executives. "Rosa, how do you know Japanese?" Marcus asked, genuinely curious for perhaps the first time about someone who'd worked for him for years. Rosa smiled gently. "My late husband was Japanese-American. After he passed, learning his language was my way of staying connected to him. I studied for 10 years, even spent time in Kyoto learning tea ceremony. I clean houses because it brings me peace, and the rhythm reminds me of the meditation his grandmother taught me." She turned to Yamamoto. "When I overheard your concerns yesterday about web industries lacking heart, I understood. You weren't questioning their competence, you were questioning their character." Yamamoto nodded slowly, his expression thoughtful. "In Japan, we have a concept called kintsugi, repairing broken pottery with gold, making it more valuable than before. We don't hide the cracks. We honor them. They tell a story of resilience and beauty." He looked directly at Marcus. "Your presentation showed me efficiency and profit. But this moment, watching everyone work together regardless of title, seeing genuine human connection, this showed me gold in the cracks. This showed me soul." Marcus felt something crack open inside him. For 20 years, he'd measured success in dollars and deals, in square footage and status. He'd barely known the name of the woman who cleaned his office, never asked about her life, her losses, her wisdom. He'd been so busy looking down from his penthouse that he'd forgotten to see the people actually holding everything together. "Rosa," Marcus said quietly, "would you consider a different position? I think we need someone who can help us remember what actually matters. Someone who can teach us about building relationships instead of just closing deals." Rosa's eyes glistened. "Mr. Webb, I'm happy cleaning, but I'd be honored to help in other ways too. Not instead of cleaning. That work has its own dignity. But perhaps in addition." The deal was signed that afternoon, but with new terms. Marcus's board initially resisted a commitment to employee wellness programs, partnerships with local communities in both countries, and a foundation dedicated to honoring the human element in business. Yamamoto insisted these weren't just goodwill gestures but essential components of sustainable success. 6 months later, Marcus stood in that same conference room, but everything felt different. The space now included a small meditation corner inspired by Rosa's suggestion. His calendar included regular meetings with employees at all levels, not just executives. And Rosa now split her time between facilities management and cultural consultation, helping the company develop genuine connections with international partners. The merger had exceeded everyone's expectations, but more importantly, Marcus had gained something more valuable than any contract. He'd learned to see people, really see them, not as functions or positions, but as whole human beings with hidden depths, unexpected gifts, and inherent worth. One evening, as Rosa prepared to leave, Marcus stopped her. "I never thanked you properly. You saved more than a deal that day. You reminded me why any of this matters." Rosa smiled, the same gentle smile she'd always had. But now Marcus actually saw the wisdom and kindness behind it. "Mr. Webb, we all have hidden talents. The real talent is recognizing them in others, and having the humility to learn from anyone, regardless of where they stand in the hierarchy.